MLS Aces Podcast. This is your host, Tom Sweezy. This is episode 260, and that's like even numbers like weird me out because I'm like, that's really like there's a lot of episodes here, like that's a lot. But joining me for many episodes and episode 260, Jason Vevang. Jason, how are you outside of me delaying this recording an hour?
I'm pretty good, man. I even numbers don't freak me out.
Got it. Good. You really like those. So you like even numbers. I like odd numbers.
I guess, yeah. So every other episode, you're like, ah.
Oh, 261, I love it. But 262, oh, get me out of here. But yeah, no. And if you guys are watching the podcast on YouTube, new background, so that's fun. If you're watching this on Goals TV, which is where if you're not watching this on Goals TV or you're listening, you can watch it on Goals TV, goals.tv, goals with a G, by the way. You can watch us there. Many of our episodes are up there, and from moving forward, all of our episodes are going to be on there, and you might see my face a little bit more on some of their stuff as well. This is not like an official like sponsorship ad. I'm just telling you guys what's going on is I might be on there weekly, bi-weekly on another show, and you can watch MLS Aces on goals.tv as well. And there should be an app coming soon, which is pretty cool. So if you like apps instead of just having to go on like websites, there you go. But yes, new background. Jason's here, and we're talking Major League Soccer. And this is the first episode with someone that I can show off. I have a wedding ring, so that's cool.
Oh yeah, congrats, bro! This is the first time we've talked since then.
Thanks, man. I mean, I brought that up just to talk about it. No, just kidding. Like
you should be.
I'm
just
still
talk like this all the time.
Yeah, right. I'm still living in like the realm of like it's pretty cool to say like I'm married and I don't know, it's fun. So that's where I'll leave that. But love my wife, which I'm honestly using this as an escape to try to like say my wife more because it's not very natural to say my wife. So yeah, this is a an experiment between you and me here. Me just trying to break out of that. Like you're on the soccer field every single day. You're trying to like get better at the weak foot. I'm trying to get better at saying certain things. So that's a really ugly transition into let's talk about soccer, Jason.
Alrighty.
The MLS transfer deadline day is today or yesterday at midnight. Yeah, okay, I'm not dumb. It was yesterday at midnight Eastern, 1 a.m. Central Standard Time, because that's where U.S. Soccer is located. So there is going to be a lot of transfer talk on this episode, so get ready for that, because I know people love us talking about transfers, but a lot of like inter-MLS stuff too to talk about, which is cool because we know the players, we know the teams, all that fun stuff there. But I will say, I guess let's just start with the one kind of piece of negative news that came out in this past week. And, wish Sam was here to talk about this one, but it does involve DC United. But MLS and DC United have suspended left back Mohamed Giazi, who they just signed this offseason after he was arrested in Sweden over the weekend. DC United allowed him to be in Sweden, I think with like special permission to go over the weekend. I think it was something family related. But there are reports that Giazi was arrested over alleged assault charges over in Stockholm, Sweden. I know MLS and DC both made announcements that they will investigate into this issue. I mean, not really much to say here other than it happened. Giazi, who, looked decent in a few games for DC to start this season, We'll be out for an extended period of time, most likely. Jason, you have any thoughts on this, or just kind of, it's more just kind of crappy news to start?
I mean, it's crappy news, and they'll investigate it and hopefully, get to an accurate judgment of it. It's kind of hard to say because, without a ton of detail, we kind of just have to speculate, which is not always the best thing to do. But yeah, I mean, regardless, it's shitty news. If it's true, it's even worse, I mean, it probably is, whatever.
Exactly, right?
Try not to speculate, but
it's kind of like when I started last week's episode talking about Dante Van Zier, like not the news you want to start an episode talking about. At least
I actually wanted to bring up, like, I totally agree. He should, like, it was not nearly long enough of a suspension.
6 games?
It's nothing.
No. And
For that,
Struber having no suspension is ridiculous.
it's like, okay, you can do it. Just slap on the wrist. Like,
I mean, that's the issue that I have, right? It's not even like this is the first time this has come up in like ever or years. Like I literally listed off like Frago Frangipane with Diego Chara. There was someone else too significant. Other DC United, Taxi Fountas with someone else. I apologize. I think it was DeAndre Yedlin. Like these issues arise
right.
once, twice a year, pretty much over the last few years in Major League Soccer. I'm not gonna go into a rehash of my argument from last week. Go listen to last week's episode if you want to hear it. But pretty much just like 6 games isn't enough. Struber wasn't punished, which is ridiculous. And Major League Soccer, every single time an issue like this arises, whether it's sexual assault, alleged sexual assault, or whether it's, using racist words. Ooh, that was my phone. Using racist words during games, where that should not be part of the game. Major League Soccer has the ability to set the tone on how they handle this now and moving forward, and they fail to do it every single time.
Right.
It's what I think.
I mean, and if it happens again, and it might or probably will, they need to, like, it's on them at this point. If it happens again, it's just because they can do it, like it's not a big enough punishment. So
yeah, I mean, look, I think it should be like season suspension, and you have to go through like, I don't know, mental.
At the very minimum, it should be half a season. At the minimum, half a season.
I mean, look, I don't want to compare like assault or like use of racist language or anything like that to like using PEDs in baseball, right? But I'm comparing it in the sense of Major League Baseball wanted to get rid of the use of PEDs in its game, right? So they made like first time like getting caught was like a 60-game suspension, and then like you're suspended for like a full year if you get caught with it twice. Like Major League Baseball made it a priority to say we don't want this in the game, so this is a harsh first time suspension, and then there's like a harsh second time suspension. If you get caught a third time, you're never playing a game in Major League Baseball again. MLS, for more serious things like we're talking about, Major League Soccer should be doing this. It should be, Jason, like you said, like first offense is a season suspension or something like that, then a full season suspension, then you're never allowed to play in Major League Soccer ever again type of deal. Like
honestly, it could just be a half season and then never again,
Yeah, whatever.
Like at that point, who knows? Like that's sort of logistical, but like you shouldn't get that many chances to not be racist or whatever,
or assault someone or whatever type of serious
whatever it is. You don't get that many chances of it. At some point, it becomes like, all right, you're done. Like,
I fully agree, and Major League Soccer fails to do it, and it is what it is. But I guess let's move forward. Let's move on. Today, April 25th, U.S. Soccer, the USSF, they announced the brand new sporting director for the USSF, Matt Crocker. If the name isn't overly familiar to you right away, it's okay, because it wasn't to me right away until I did some research on this guy. But Crocker, he's coming in to replace Ernie Stewart, who was the former sporting director. Stewart left in January to take a leadership position at PSV over in the Netherlands. But Crocker, he was most recently with Southampton, where he was the director of football operations there. And before Southampton, he was the head of the English FA's development teams. So everything on the men and women's side, pretty much from the U21s down, is what I understand. He helped England capture the 2017 FIFA U17 and 2017 FIFA U20 World Cups, and also the 2019 UEFA U19 Championships. Pretty much this age of English football that kind of we're in with all the young stars, a Saka, a Rashford, all of them, right? Like Crocker has been a part of, I guess, leading that young charge
generation
is kind of what the larger picture of what people are talking about. So, Jason, I'll turn it to you. Obviously, Ernie Stewart, he's a name to U.S. Soccer. He's not going to be the easiest to replace. But how do you feel about USSF announcing the Crocker hire?
I mean, I think you kind of prefaced it well, because to me it seems like, based on his past and, like you said, his development, that's sort of why he's coming, right? Like, we as a country have a lot of young talent that's building, on both men's and women's sides. But it seems like that is his sort of expertise. And to bring someone in that can kind of recognize, and has done this before with the U17 levels, just the developmental teams, and just realize how to build at those levels and then translate that into, the first team, the national team. Like that's a huge step. And especially for, our country currently, where like all of the academies in MLS are now starting to get, or not, I guess not starting, some have been around for a long time, but like generally are at a level now where they can create higher level talent on a regular basis. And this is someone that's going to be able to either look at that talent or have a say in how that's built from the national point of view, which I think is actually really preferential, or really good. Preferential is definitely not the right word.
I mean, you could say it's preferred, but
preferable, really preferable.
I mean, it still works. It works. Your point's still getting across. I mean, that's something I didn't really think about, to be honest. Like, I don't know why my brain solely is thinking like national team, like international play, like the U.S. youth national teams on both sides, right, and everything like that. Because immediately I was like, we have a young squad. There is a lot of young talent coming through. The U20s are the men's U20s are apparently a very talented, like, this could be part of technically what's considered a golden generation. On the female side, there's a lot of young talent coming through as well. So like having someone who's worked with young talent, developing it on both the men's and the women's side for England and for Southampton, which is a club known to develop talent. Is one that I was like, okay, that's awesome. But I didn't even think about it at the club level, where Crocker definitely will have constant communication, whether it comes to MLS academies, MLS Next Pro into MLS, and then selling them on. Even USL academies, right? We just saw a USL center back in the US men's national team camp, right? Like we just saw him play, or I think I don't know if he got subbed in, I don't remember, but Josh Winder, he's Louisville City center back, 17 years old. Like he's getting interest from all over the planet. He's playing in USL Championship, and we're even seeing it at the USL Academy side as well. So I'm interested to see how someone whose sole focus over his entire kind of soccer career, front office career, has been in development, how that's going to impact us now at the kind of global national level, where, now he's not just Southampton, he's everywhere in the US. He's got to represent and focus on development, right? One thing that does have me concerned is Jonathan Tannewald, who, one of the best reporters out there. If you don't follow Jonathan Tannewald, you're missing out on a giant source of soccer information. But Tannewald tweeted out today that during Crocker's opening press conference, he admitted that he still has a lot of learning to do about the Latino population and their places kind of in the American soccer landscape. Doesn't sound great, because that is a large portion of the United States. That's a large portion of our dual nationals, whether it comes to Mexican American dual nationals or I mean, we've really mainly seen Mexican American dual nationals, but we've seen some from South America and some from the rest of Central America as well. So one thing that does concern me is the dual national argument is many players developing and coming through the United States solely speak Spanish or solely have Spanish roots, right? And that's something that, it needs to be represented. And that's something that for the person who's leading us in our development and in footballing country, I would want them to maybe come in a little bit more informed than this, but I don't know, maybe it's something he can.
I think yes and no. Like, just to play the other side of it a little bit, like, this guy was working in England with their development for a long time. Like, should he know that much? I guess is my point. Like,
I'm saying if you're gonna get to the point where you're hiring this man,
true, he needs to have some like idea. But him admitting that to me is like, this is an area that we will be working on.
Fair. Life's all about growth, right? Life's all about working on yourselves and growing. And if he can at least admit that he's lacking, he's opening himself up to growth. Maybe.
I think also just him having him and his staff will have this angle of developing, right? Like you brought it back to the leagues as well. It's like they're going to be saying, this is what we want to see. This is what we're looking for from academies, from USL, MLS, any league, anywhere, even colleges potentially, right? So I think maybe this is like a pipe dream, but if he's really impacting all of that and really giving everyone like a clear idea of like, the talent is there. How do we access it? How do we find it? Whether it's a dual national or not, how do we get them, into the system where there's constant eyes, where there's, improvements being made. So I think just the experience and development is going to be the biggest portion for him, or at least the place where I think we'll start to see the biggest impact, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, you got to have at least some knowledge of the region and what's going on here.
I mean, it's also, it doesn't help like anyone, I think, coming into this role who's not American, to not really understand the diversity that really does exist in America. Like if you were born and raised in England your entire life, and then I think he's somewhat of a young guy, but you, at whatever age you are, you come over and now you're working solely for the United States. Like you're not really going to understand the diversity that exists in the United States, maybe to the fullest extent. So that is part of it. Also, the major thing that we probably should talk about is he is going to be playing a decision in hiring the next manager for the U.S. men's national team. Anthony Hudson is currently the interim manager still, which is wild to me, but he's done fine enough, I guess. But, it's really, I'm going to be interested to see how much, I mean, he should play a large role in it, but how much of a role he does play, how much sway maybe he has for someone who's non-American versus American. I know that's a large talking point. There's people who solely want Americans. There's people who don't care. They just want the best person for the job. I'm in that camp. But there's going to be a lot of things coming up for the U.S. men's national team and women's national team. It's the World Cup year for the women's, and for the men's, obviously, it's a Gold Cup year and everything like that. So there's a lot of competitions coming up that Crocker's going to immediately get thrown into the middle of, and I'm excited to see how he handles the pressure.
He is 48 years old.
Okay, so he's young.
Yeah, a lot of time with him potentially.
Potentially.
But yeah, I mean, the coaching thing is a massive move, and that's going to be sort of what most people are going to say. This is.
We're going to judge the shit.
Yeah, that's going to be the first thing that big change that he'll make that everyone will notice immediately.
Yeah, I think
he's kind of got to nail that. There's an article on MLS.com. Let's see where it was.
MLSsoccer.com, sir.
All right. You don't want to go to the tax or whatever it is.
No, it's me. It's the major listing service.
Service, yeah.
Come on.
But it's basically by Charles Boehm, and it's all about the interview process or the interview with Crocker and picking the new coach, and kind of obviously there's not much to say at the moment, but it seems like the process will be diligent or in depth.
Yeah, friend of the pod, Charlie Boehm. I mean, first of all, shout out. But look, I think in that article, and I think I also read it on an article at The Athletic too. I'm not sure who wrote that, so apologies, but it was definitely on The Athletic. Of just, Crocker's looking for someone who's going to come in and create a culture, right? And that's what you can only hope.
He also spoke to the style that's been sort of created through Berhalter and Hudson already, and having a coach that can come in and not necessarily change it completely, but more refine it or build off of it.
Or tweak it slightly,
right.
Which I like. We're not going to hopefully we're not all of a sudden playing a 3-5-2 and, like all that stuff. Or at least not solely a 3-5-2. I know you can always say during transition periods formation shifts, but whatever. Let's steer away from the U.S. men's national team unless you have anything else, or USSF in general. Unless you have anything else you want to say about it.
No, good.
I'm just going to rapid fire through some of these signings. You interrupt me if you have anything you want to say about them. I'll stop if I have something I want to say about any of these. But, okay. Colorado Rapids, they've waived former U.S. Youth National Team forward Yaya Toure, not that Yaya Toure, but the other Yaya Toure, after a short career and some injury concerns there. So he will try to get healthy and get back to finding a club somewhere. San Jose Earthquakes have loaned center back Oscar Agrin to the Colorado Springs Switchbacks in the USL Championship to get some playing time there. Same thing with FC Dallas loaning left back Isaiah Parker to San Antonio FC, and the New England Revolution loaning left back Ryan Spalding to the Tampa Bay Rowdies. All three of those clubs in the USL Championship. Let's steer to, actually, I'll say this one really quickly, and then we'll steer to injuries. But the LA Galaxy, they've signed winger Gino Vivi after selecting him 23rd overall in the 2023 MLS Super Draft. The Galaxy needed an international roster spot to sign Vivi, which is interesting. At this point, they're signing a Super Draft pick, but whatever. So in order to get that international roster spot, they acquired it from NYCFC for $162,500 in general allocation money in 2024. So quick, easy little payday there for NYCFC to grab some cash for an international roster spot for next year. Let's talk about injuries really quick, and I do have some points I want to say here. Sporting Kansas City, they lose striker Willy Agada for 3 months after fracturing his leg. Agada has 1 goal in 576 minutes for SKC in 2023. And then Seattle Sounders, they lose striker Raul Ruidiaz for, I think, at minimum 4 weeks after suffering a right hamstring strain. He has 2 goals in 336 minutes in 2023. Jason, you said, you want to talk about it. What are the impact of these injuries in your brain?
I mean, it gets worse for Sporting Kansas City, right? Like a team that can already
SKC right now. We can just go into a full SKC combo.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down with that. They can already barely score. What? They have 3 goals on the season. They're in dead last. I don't actually know if they're in dead last.
No, they are. They don't have a win on the season. They're the worst team in Major League Soccer. Yes.
They look horrible. They only have 3 draws too. Like, it's not even. Did I read that wrong? Yeah, they have 3 draws and 6 losses. Like, they are struggling big time. They have 3 goals this season, and then they just lose another striker. It's not good. I mean, regardless, it's not good, right? Like, I don't see how they get any better unless they make some drastic signing, which they can't now, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, I'm not even going to sit here and say Willy Agada is going to change much for SKC. He does not look like the Willy Agada that they got for the second half of the year in 2022. Maybe it's a sophomore slump, whatever you want to call it.
I don't think anything's really changed. Like, I don't know if it's just him that's an issue,
it's
right?
Not
like,
just
you
him.
Can't slot in any. I don't know if Zlatan's fixing that team.
Hey, Ronaldo, remember there was connections to SKC. But no, I mean, look, like at the end of the day, yes, it's not just probably Willy Agada. It's not just Alan Polito or Kyrie Shelton or Johnny Russell or Daniel Shalhoub, whoever you want to say in that attack. Every level on the field for Sporting Kansas City is not going well. There's a ton of injuries. I think currently they have 4 injuries, like 4 long-term injuries to the roster. I think at one point that was up to like 7 or 8, so like it's not great there. They're making last-ditch signings in a guy like Danny Rosero from Colombia, I'm pretty sure. Like they tried to do stuff to make up for losing a guy like a Courtney Ford or whatever, but injuries are piling up. Players are underperforming. I've said this on this podcast, and I've said it on other platforms as well. I think Alan Polito might be the most overrated DP in Major League Soccer. Maybe outside of Douglas Costa, that Alan Polito is the most overrated DP. The guy can't stay on the field. And now you just lost Willy Agada. So good luck to them when Polito, knock on wood, I don't want it to happen, but inevitably goes down for the season. You still have aging superstars or aging stars, I guess, in Graham Zusi, Tim Melia, Roger Espinoza, Andreu Fontas. Johnny Russell's no spring chicken either. You just have so much going against you. And that just seems to be what Peter Vermees has relied upon over the last few years, is the guys in his system and the guys he knows. And we've talked about this 100 times, but how many bad seasons or how many bad games have to happen before we go, there's an overall organizational issue here. That's what concerns me about Sporting Kansas City right now, because yes, you can say it's 0 wins. Yes, you can say it's 3 points. Yes, you can say, they don't have any stellar DPs or they have aging superstars or injury. You can say all these things, but at what point is it a Peter Vermes issue? And I love Peter Vermes, but there's a Peter Vermes issue when he controls everything from the top down in that organization outside of being an owner. And I don't know if you have an answer to that, but to me, Peter Vermes should be on the hot seat, but he will never be on the hot seat.
And I think that's the issue. When you get too comfortable, or if he has that type of security, then you kind of can make whatever decision you want and get into this situation that they're in. Plus, like, it's just not the right way to work, and you can't just live off of past success, right? Like, this is a results business. Like, if you're not getting results, you move on. You get someone who can. That's how it is in every sport. That's how it's going to be. That's how it will always be. And
what have you done for me lately? It's what it always is.
Right. And that answer is not great with Peter Vermes. So if he's not on the hot seat, then it's a bigger issue in Kansas City, in my opinion.
So stemming back from 2020, Sporting Kansas City did win the Western Conference in 2020. Weird, odd COVID year, right? They finished third in 2021. And then last season, a major drop off to 12th place. And I mean, outside of just us, who I guess were in the MLS media world, outside of just us, many predict the Sporting Kansas City to continue to drop because they just don't do anything exciting with their roster. I like the tactics that Peter Vermes plays, but they don't have the pieces in there to say that those tactics are going to be overly successful. I mean, I think Peter Vermes has earned his place into being one of the all-time greats in Major League Soccer coaching and whatever you want to say. But I do agree with you is it seems like there's a level of comfort here where I'm not even talking about results on a week in, week out basis. I'm talking about on a roster creation. I'm talking about pushing players to be better. I'm talking about player development. When was the last time you thought of a player that Sporting Kansas City has moved from the youth ranks to SKC2 or to straight up to the first team or whatever, right? You have like the guys like Felipe Hernandez, Cameron Duke, like I feel like I've been hearing about these names forever and they just turn out to be like nothing or they turn out to be bench pieces or they just, I don't know. I just feel like there's so many issues with Sporting Kansas City.
They're like, going even further, when's the last time you've really been like all in on a signing that they've made? Like, it just feels like.
The sad thing is, even if they signed Ronaldo, I don't think there would still be a population of people out there like that wouldn't be excited about the Ronaldo signing outside of his, his off the field shit. Like just the pure Ronaldo in there being like, what are we doing? Like, why are we signing Ronaldo? Because I just don't think there's faith in the front office.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like this is the same team. Like, obviously there's been changes, but it just feels like the same team that I've been talking about for 4 years, right? Like
4. Honestly, I'm waiting for Eichel Parra and Benny Feilhaber to run out there. Like at this point, like I don't know. It's just
the same team. They just put in a different name. It's the same team, and they haven't evolved with MLS.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, you're 100% right. You're just hitting refresh every single season, exchanging a few pieces, and you're like, it's brand new. Like
teams are spending big money on huge names and hitting record point totals each year. What we've had like in the last 4 years, 3 record seasons or something?
Yeah. I mean, I think 2021, the Rebs did it last. And then last year, someone shockingly didn't do it. But
didn't LAFC do it the year before that?
Maybe.
And then Toronto did it like 2 years before?
Toronto did it like 2018, 2017.
Okay. Well, okay. In the last 6 years, 5 years, we've had 3 record-breaking seasons.
Those TFC teams that succeeded in 2017, 2018, 2019, they still would have difficulties succeeding today. 2015 Sporting Kansas City that we're pretty much seeing on the field like isn't gonna be successful in 2023. Like, I'm sorry. And again, I want to give Peter Vermes the respect that he deserves and the respect that he has earned over a long coaching career. He is the longest tenured coach in Major League Soccer. Maybe at this point you give him a little like Ben Olsen effect and you fire him by promoting him and you just pretty much have him as the sporting director, general manager, whatever you want.
Could you watch someone coach his team?
I mean, at this point, if I'm like the owner of SKC, I'm going like, Peter, like, we're going to have to like fire you, or you take a GM role and you can control who we hire as the next coach, and you can control the signings and work with them. And
Does
work with your
things
coach.
change then? Or do things change?
I mean, I think if you can have a coach in there that maybe implements new style, and even if, bro, like, even if it's like literally Graham Zusi retires and Peter Vermees is like, Graham, like, we're both like, sure, it's the same thing, but maybe just the fact of new energy in the locker room, new leadership changes things. I don't know. I'm just saying, I think you have to try something at this point. That's all I got on Peter Vermees and Sporting Kansas.
I mean, like you said, you have to respect what he's done. He's up there with the greats, in MLS coaching, but it's stale. It's really stale.
It's very stale. That's a perfect way to end it. And let's stick with manager talk, because an interesting article came out on The Athletic this past week. Felipe Cardenas, writer for The Athletic, he sat down with Tata Martino, former coach of many places, but most notably to us, Eltree and Atlanta United. Tata Martino told Cardenas that MLS is his quote-unquote weakness, and he would like to coach again in the league. I love that he called MLS his weakness.
That's amazing.
Top quote. But it is also reported that Tata Martino turned down a job at his boyhood club, Boca Juniors. I think maybe not his boyhood. That's probably a weird way to word it for a manager, but his first ever club that he managed, Boca Juniors, last month. So my question for you is, do you want to see Tata return because it is his weakness? Or like, are you like over the Tata Martino experiment after what seems to be an ugly end with Mexico?
Honestly, I'm kind of ready for him to return.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be interesting to see how he comes into the league now in effects, because he really came in. Atlanta really burst onto the scene, and we're like, this is the next big thing. And now there's, everyone's doing it. Well, not everyone, not Kansas City, but.
Oh, poor SKC, poor Kevin Cho.
But look at the expansion teams coming in now. LAFC,
Boston,
St. Louis, even, who's doing it differently but still killing it, right?
Exactly. Look, Charlotte's pulling 70,000 fans,
right.
like every other week. So I would love to see Tata Martino return. There's just some spiteful people out there who don't want to see him return. Like, I personally can't imagine a world where you're an MLS fan. There's a handful of clubs that say no, but you're an average MLS fan and you don't want Tata Martino taking over the reins at your club.
I think you'd only say no if you were like all in on who you have, right? Like
if you're like
Bob
Philly,
Bradley, right? Or Jim Curtin.
Even Bob Bradley. People are saying he's on the hot seat right now in Toronto. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I will get to where we want to see him in a second, because I think I have a perfect club of where I'd like to see Tata Martino make his MLS return. But just the point I want to say is Tata Martino, the same thing like he did with Atlanta United, he brings name recognition. He brings a clear path, even proving it in Major League Soccer, but he's proved it other places, of you can come to his club as a young player, you can develop, you can learn a lot, you can grow, you can win, and then you can go to Europe and have a long career. Mickey Almiron, is just a pure example of that, right? But he's also done it everywhere else he's managed in his career.
Well, another thing too is like, look at how he raised the profile of the league, the development, like you're saying. The
Atlanta United, back when he was coaching them, was at that point the most fun team I think I've ever seen play a Major League Soccer game. This is before LAFC was even in the picture. So
they came onto the scene and just shocked everyone in some ways.
But they were just so good. Like, that was the thing, is like, yes, they had the talent, right? But you had to get that talent there somehow. And that's what I think Tata Martino brings you, is that name recognition. He's coached at the best clubs in the world. He's coached at some of the best national teams in the world. Young South Americans, young Americans, young Central Americans want to go play for Tata Martino.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I mean, like, do we see Almiron without Martino?
Does Almiron go,
or Joseph? Do we see either of those players at Atlanta without that coach pairing?
Exactly. And I like that Atlanta had the ambition to do that year one, right? And like, that's what I think. a Major League Soccer club now needs to have that ambition and go do. To me, perfect situation. Inter Miami kicks Phil Neville's ass out the door, and Tata Martino is wearing a pink sweater around his neck.
That's Beckham's buddy.
I mean, bro, sorry, buddy, but we're bringing in Tata.
Sorry, buddy.
Because Tata can get us Messi in the summer. Tata can bring us the biggest names and the biggest young names in South America to come play in probably the best city to do so, Miami. And just the pure connection of bringing a fun style back to Major League Soccer, I think is perfect with Miami. You reunite him with Josef Martinez. And I just think Miami's a perfect fit. Phil Neville's already on the hot seat. This is now Inter Miami's third time in club history, and they don't have this long club history where they've lost 6 or more games in a row. If I'm Beckham and I'm this ownership group right now, I'm doing everything I can to get Phil Neville's ass out the door and bringing Tata Martino's in. That's all I'm saying.
That's a good choice. I mean, I think if I were to choose one, but I mean, they got a new coach, and he's not really on their hot seat. Luchi Gonzalez at San Jose. But San Jose would be a good destination for Tata.
It would be, but Lucci's doing good stuff.
They have been good this year. It's only in a scenario where that became open.
How about
location-wise? It's a great location.
I'm steering away from San Jose because they've been good this year. That's the only reason why. But I'm thinking like Austin. If Austin's over,
I was gonna say Dallas.
Okay, I mean, yeah, that's fine. I could kick Dallas out, but
Austin for sure, because I mean, Wolf's got to be on the hot seat at this point.
At this point, bro.
Yeah, I picked them to do so well, and I'm just so upset.
If I'm like Charlotte, if I'm the Red Bulls, like I don't know.
I just don't see him in New York.
I mean, I would love it. I would love it in the sense of like I could potentially run into Tata Martino because I just
ran a bagel shop.
I ran into Nick Cushing last weekend, so that was pretty cool. Like I was
send him to Minnesota.
Let's go, Adrian Heath, get out of here. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if it happens. I don't know if it happens anytime soon. The way the article read didn't make it seem like it is soon, but if it is going to be soon, I think there's like 2 spots. It's Austin, Miami, in my opinion. But
Miami is a great choice.
I think just reuniting him with Josef Martinez would be fun, personally.
And it's just like, I don't know. It's a big name while being a horrible team.
Yeah. It's the market, too, that makes it fun. It's always going to be fun. Let's keep it moving. Let's go with another legend of Major League Soccer, Dax McCarty. With the start this past weekend against LAFC, he reaches the 400 start mark in Major League Soccer for his career, which is 400 starts in a career is wild. The fact that they were all in one league, even wilder. But he becomes the 3rd outfield player in Major League Soccer history to hit that mark. It's him, Chad Marshall, Kyle Beckerman, some of the greats of Major League Soccer right there. He had an interview with MLS 360 after the match, which I have to say MLS 360 has been killer. It's been fun. It's been a great way to kind of intake all of the games going
30
on.
games at one time.
Honestly, I'm like, I need rapid fire, and Sasha and Bradley and the rest of the crew, Kyle and whoever else is the 4th person on the show at that point, because I know they're rotating the 4th person. That's not a shot at whoever the 4th person is, rotating the 4th person. They've just been doing a great job in kind of keeping up with all the games and keeping it fun. But on MLS 360, he did mention that he was thinking about retirement. So, Jason, my question for you is, if Dax does retire at the end of 2023, just where in your mind do you hold him as like one of the greats in MLS?
I mean, like you said, he's 4th in starts now for an outfield player. He's 2nd in appearances, with not including all those starts. Yeah. So 2nd in appearances. He's won MLS. He's won the Supporter Shield.
He's won 2 Supporter Shields
twice. Yeah, with the Red Bulls. I mean, he's played almost 35,000 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that is insane. I think he's up there. I mean, I don't know where I'd rank him like numerically, but in my mind, he's one of those guys along with Chad Marshall, all these guys who've been there, played there, legends kind of that we've he's played since 2006. I mean, literally everything I remember about MLS, he was part of. Like,
for the listeners out there, while you're listening to this or watching this, open up a new tab or whatever. Google Dax McCarty MLS draft photo. When he got drafted to FC Dallas. It's honestly a great photo because he looks nothing like himself now. And then at one point, having the best mustache in the league. But like, he has to go up there with me. And right, like I'm a younger MLS fan. I still consider myself younger, I guess. But like, I'm a younger fan where I didn't get to see the 90s and early 2000s. So apologies to all the old heads who are going to come at me here. But when I think of great MLS D mids, I think of Kyle Beckerman, who's one of the three outfield players who have hit this mark. I think of Diego Chara. I think of Ozzy Alonso, and I think of Dax McCarty. Like, that's kind of the group that I hold him in. And I don't know where I would rank. If I had to rank those four, no idea where I would.
I mean, that's a tough four to rank.
That's a tough four to rank. But like, those four are probably like, if I want to create like my all-time best, like, like American soccer team, right? Like, and I'm talking club soccer too, right? You want to include those players. I'm shoving one of those four at the 6, and Dax McCarty easily deserves a spot in there, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's a best 11 player. He's been an all-star. He's been one of those consistent names that if he's on your team, you have that little sense of confidence just from his name on the list, right?
He's going to lock down a midfield.
Right. Like, he was on the fire, and I was like, I like this.
Exactly. He gives you, he's the captain, he's going to bring leadership to the locker room, he's going to rally the troops, and whether he retires this year or not, it's been an absolute stellar career. He's one of the GOATs, and you got to give him that respect. So shout out.
Chara's getting up there.
At starts? What is he?
He's got, let's see, games played,
360 something?
Little lower, 342.
Okay.
Over 30,000 minutes.
I think Diego Chara said he wants to play until he's 40, so he could realistically hit 40 starting MLS.
He's got to play roughly 2 more seasons without injury.
Hey, that's rough, actually. I don't know. So, he's still great.
How old is he right now?
He's 37.
Oh, he could do it.
Maybe.
That guy's a tank, man.
Hey, he doesn't stop. He's a dude who just has an engine that doesn't stop.
They need a stat on here like miles ran.
They probably didn't track that in the way beginning,
In 2011 when he joined.
It
is impressive that it's been one team for that whole way.
I mean, you want to talk about a rotated team or a rotated player on a team that doesn't get stale? That's Diego Chara for Portland. Unlike, sorry, I love him, but Graham Zusi for SKC. Like, it's just at this point, it is what it is. Sorry. Let's keep it moving. I'm going to quickly keep running through some of the trades and everything that happened today. So, Jason, like I said, interrupt me if you have something you want to say. If not, I'm going to keep going. Bob Bradley, I think he's going for a Hail Mary to save his job and kind of save the season for Toronto FC. So TFC, they made some moves today. First, they send center back Lucas McNaughton $125,000 in general allocation money for 2024 and $75,000 in general allocation money for 2025 to Nashville SC for striker CJ Sapong. They also sent $100,000 in general allocation money for 2024 to Inter Miami for center back Amy Mabika from Inter Miami. I don't think these are stellar moves that are going to win you MLS Cup, but I do like the moves. I do like the upgrades. I think Mabika's an upgrade from McNaughton, even though I really like McNaughton. Mabika's a 24-year-old, 6'6" center back. Like, he's just a big body, and I love it. And then CJ Sapong just brings you veteran leadership. And you know what? I don't mind the idea of him playing in between Bernadeschi and Insigne. But what are your thoughts?
I think that watching Toronto and watching specifically that Philly game where they just looked just horrible.
Yeah.
Like some of those own goals, like there's the one own goal, and then the other one was just a deflection.
Yeah.
Mistake. But both of those are just like, what? This team doesn't really know how to play together. Like, they're in. You know how we were talking about how Atlanta without Almada just like kind of know where to be,
Yeah,
what to do. This is the opposite here. Like I don't see a team that like understands their roles, I guess. And obviously that's a bit on Bradley. And I think these are like Band-Aid fixes almost.
I
Like
can see that.
I think they're improvements, right? And like you said, CJ Sapong brings a lot of leadership. He's gonna be a good player. He's gonna come in and you can kind of just put him right in and he's gonna be fine, right? He's gonna fit. But it's not like this is about to save our season type thing, right? Like to save their season, they have talent. The team needs to be on the same page, understand like their awareness around them. Obviously, like some of that stuff was just fluky, but it didn't look good. Like it just didn't give me any confidence. Some of those goals, some of those shots, it could have been even worse of a scoreline. Like they were just not in position a lot of the game.
I'll shorten what you said. I think you said it literally perfectly, but you said I don't see a team that like blah blah blah. I don't see a team, period. Like
Right.
I don't see, like you said, there's a bunch of talent on this team. You can say Bernadeschi, Insigne, Osorio, Mark Anthony. Like you can keep going down the list. There's so much talent on this team. There is.
It looks even worse when they're playing like this because their talent is there. That's the biggest issue.
You just don't see 11 guys playing together. Like that's purely what it is. And I understand Insigne is coming back from injury, and I understand, they've had a lot of injury as well, and they've been rotating like tactics and how they've been playing, but there's just not, this isn't a culture of winning. Like you bring in a guy like Sean Johnson and Matt Hedges, you think that's maybe going to kind of bring some experience and some leadership to the locker room. I'm sorry, but Sean Johnson has looked awful in 2023.
He looked so bad last week too. He just did not look happy at all.
I hate saying it because he was literally the MVP of this game right here. If you're watching on YouTube, this one right here, he was.
Hey, we both love him.
Exactly. We're the Sean Johnson fan club. This. But what I'm saying is, like, he's gone up to Toronto and he doesn't look like a good goalkeeper anymore. And I still think he is. I just think the form he's in right now is awful. And Matt Hedges hasn't been great. He's been injured. I still think he's injured. So I hope for Bob Bradley and TFC fans that there is a turnaround, because I do want to see a world where Bernadeschi and Insigne are lighting up MLS. Like, I would love to see it because that's just fun for the league. It's fun for the fans. But I agree with you that these are improvements. Sapong and Mabika are improvements. But I think Band-Aid fixes are a perfect way of saying it, Jason.
I just don't. You could bring in all the talent you want, but unless they're going to play as one unit, you're not getting anywhere, right? Like,
I agree. I fully agree. All right, let's quickly talk about the teams on the other side of it. Nashville SC, do they improve? They lose veteran striker and CJ Sapong, but bolster a back line with now like I said, I like Lucas McNaughton. I think he's a third capable center back. So you get $200,000 in game over the next 2 years, and McNaughton pretty much in replace of Sapong. Now McNaughton can kind of come in as a third center back to Walker Zimmerman and Jack Mayer. I like Mayer a lot. He's really done well in kind of his brand new starting role this year. And Walker Zimmerman. We know who he is. So I like this move. I think, it doesn't address Nashville SC's scoring issues. I think
Nashville is hilarious to me, man. They are so committed to just being the defenders. Like, this team has 5 goals against. They're by far, I don't think anyone even has. Yeah, the closest is 7 currently.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, we don't need CJ Sapong. You take him. We'll take some money. We'll take another center back. We'll just let Hani do his thing. Hopefully, let him just score a goal a game, maybe 2.
I don't know if you are, Jason, are you an NFL fan?
Yeah.
So, like, there's always like when a quarterback is a really good wide receiver and he just throws it down the field and he was like, fuck it,
Yep.
Like, fuck it, DeAndre Hopkins is there. It's like Nashville's like 9 dudes back, whatever, goalkeeper in net, and they're like, fuck it, Hani's up there, he'll do something.
He's
like,
up there somewhere.
That's how Nashville doesn't win at the end of the day.
They're like, we can win every game 1-0 0.
And they'll
we'll
be Gary
so
Smith.
happy. Yeah.
Gary Smith will be having wet dreams every single night because he's loving the 1-0 win.
Joe Willis had some big saves last
Joe Willis
weekend.
is a great goalkeeper.
He really is. I feel like doesn't get like the high level respect that he probably should.
No, it's like him and Brad Stuber. I keep in like these are dudes who were backups for so long, and like they did the normal goalkeeper career where they didn't get like their starting spot until like 28, 29, 30. And like people are like, oh, they're so old. But it's like this is what goalkeepers did like only like 5 years ago. Now it's like now we have Chris Brady in Chicago, and we're all
with Slonina to Brady.
Exactly.
We literally haven't had a goalkeeper over 20 in 2 years.
We're like Joe Willis is old as fuck when he's probably going to play for another 4, 5, 6 years.
Hey, Brady's looking good too. I'm pretty happy with that so far.
He is looking good. Let's keep it moving. Inter Miami, did they cut fat? That's probably the best way I could have worded it with Amy Babica. Like, I don't know. Inter Miami's not in a good spot right now, but one of the positions they had depth in was center back. So it looks like they're trusting their new center back, Kamal Miller, Sergei Kristyov, Chris McVeigh, and Ryan Saylor to hold things down. Don't really have much of opinion there. I just think they had depth. They got some money for a center back that they probably liked, but they got money from. Woohoo. That's pretty much that side of the trade for Inter Miami. Columbus Crew, they find a replacement left wing back. The Crew announced today that young and impressive left wing back Will Sands, he is out for 2020 for the rest of 2023 with a torn ACL. The Crew did acquire left back Malte Amundsen from NYCFC for $400,000 in general allocation money. Kind of talking about depth again as an NYCFC fan, I was okay with letting Amundsen go to Columbus. We are one of the few teams in MLS that actually have depth at the left back position. We have Brian Kufre, we brought in Kevin O'Toole, and then Christian McFarland in the youth ranks, who Manchester City is interested in, and I think Manchester City even was trying to potentially sign this offseason, which wouldn't be that weird because of the City football group thing, but whatever. So at the end of the day, Amundsen's gone from NYCFC. He's going to Columbus. I personally think it's a decent fit. Amundsen seems to be a little bit more defensive than what Will Sands brings. Like, I don't think he's going to excel at getting that further down the field type of deal. I think Mo Farsi on the other side will be that wing back that's more attacking for this team, but he's a good left back. He's a very good defender. And I think it's for a team that could potentially make the playoffs in the East and make a little bit of a run, I think it's a good move.
Yeah.
Got it. Sorry, I didn't
really have a ton more to add to that.
Didn't mean to take it over there. I'm sorry. Apologies. Let's finish up the last few moves. Houston Dynamo, they signed U22 initiative winger Ibrahim Aliyu from the Croatian top division, 17 goals and 7 assists in his 84 career games. And he's only 21 with 84 career games. That's kind of nuts in my brain. It didn't really make sense math-wise, but I guess it does. He also has 4 caps for Nigeria's U20s, so he has been recognized at the youth ranks there. We have a rare inter-MLS loan. Seattle Sounders loan homegrown midfielder Danny Leyva to the Colorado Rapids for $92,000 in general allocation money. Very random numbers tonight. And a 2025 third round MLS Super Draft pick, Tom Bogert of The Athletic now. Congratulations, Tom. Reporting that there is no option to buy on this deal. What do you make of Leyva going to Colorado on a no purchase option deal?
I mean, this is such a weird situation.
I think it's great for Seattle.
I think it is too. I mean, they can get him back. He gets great minutes with Colorado, but it's just weird. It's inter-MLS. It's not even just that. It's inter-conference. That's a strange move. But yeah, I mean, I think this for Seattle. I mean, they're not really struggling, right? To put it lightly, they're doing great.
If they're struggling for anything, it's getting guys minutes on the field. Honestly.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, look, I like it. Like you said, Leyva gets to play in Colorado, so good for him. He gets minutes. He gets MLS minutes as well, so he can come back maybe to Seattle next year or whatever with Joao.
Seattle will keep a close eye on him.
Exactly, right? Seattle can keep a close eye on him. They can tell, they can rate him to Major League Soccer players, how he's doing, all that stuff. I don't really get the move for Colorado. Like, I understand they lost Jack Price for the year. It sucks. I understand.
When does Colorado do something that you're like, oh, I totally get that?
Fair. Maybe they're just trying to acquire talent and, like, at the end of the day, convince Leiva to, like, force a move. I don't know. It really doesn't make sense. But
there's no way that's it.
That's not it. That was me just making something up. But it's totally not it. Last move.
Wait, before we move on, because I don't think we'll talk about Seattle anymore, I just want to shout out Leo Chu. He has been awesome.
Talk about a dude who didn't want to be there, like,
so much fun to watch, though.
And now he's, like, killing it.
He's actually just electric.
He's, like, I understand why Seattle brought him in a few years ago. And then, maybe he kind of went through some, like, I'm not playing.
Pains or something.
Yeah, like, I'm not playing. I want out of here, blah, blah, blah. And he's waited it out. And, I mean, look, what is he? He's leading, or he's, like, one of the top 3 assist leaders in Major League Soccer. He's 3rd right now in MLS. Like, the dude's sick on the left wing. And it's also helped that Jordan Morris is playing striker because of Raul Ruidiaz's injury, and he can play a decent striker there, and he's scoring a ton. But good shout for Leo Chu. Anyone else you want to shout out?
No, that's it for right now. I was just thinking of that because, like, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. I was watching, and I was like, man, he is just all over the place.
That might have been the game he had, like, 4 assists, though.
I think it probably was. Yeah, it definitely was.
All right, let's talk. Well, let's just quickly mention the last move of the transfer day. But DC United acquire winger Christian Dahome from Vancouver Whitecaps for $350,000 in 2024 general allocation money, with the potential for another $200,000 in 2025 general allocation money if all incentives hit. This move makes 0 sense to me. DC doesn't play with wingers right now. They're playing a 3-5-2. So Wayne Rooney is probably going to force Dahome into, like, a right wing back role. It's not going to work, and I'm shocked that Wayne Rooney's making moves that don't really fit his system. But whatever.
Hey, they're doing better than we all thought they would.
Yes, they're getting results. That's fine. Christian Benteke also helps because he scores a shit ton. But that's pretty much that in my brain. Let's quickly run through some week 9 stuff. I'm not going to talk super in depth about it, but LA Galaxy, they pick up their first win of 2023. They were with Sporting Kansas City in the 0-win mark before this weekend. They get a 2-0 win over Austin FC. We saw Ricky Push get his first assist of the season. We saw Chicharito get his first goal of the season. I liked the way LA looked, but it was against a really bad Austin team. So
both teams are very disappointing this season, incredibly disappointing. I think we all picked them, like, in both teams to finish top 5 probably in the West.
Oh yeah.
And this is what we have a bottom feeder matchup here where LA gets their first win and Austin just continues to just look. I don't even know what to say at this point. They look didn't just, like, regress. They are just, like, a whole different team.
You want to talk about teams that have issues from the front office down? I mean, look, we talked about an entire offseason of Claudio Reyna. From the front office down, Austin FC is just a mess. I think they need to fix the front office first before you're even going to remotely try to get success on the field. That's what I'll leave Austin FC with, especially because we're running out of a little bit of time here. But we've talked about SKC on 0 losses. We've talked about the Galaxy now with 1 win. 0 wins. The Galaxy with 1 win.
SKC with 0 losses. Wait.
Let's talk about a team with actually 0 losses. LAFC, they get a road draw versus Nashville SC with a rotated roster and still remain undefeated in Major League Soccer play. So kudos to them. Like, we're not going to sit here and continue to, shine the pedestal of LAFC, but
we've done it enough.
You have to just continue to be impressed with what they're doing. Rotated roster. They had 18-year-old Eric Dueñas getting his first MLS start in this one. Dennis Bouanga creates a goal out of nothing. Like, they're just the top tier of Major League Soccer at this point, and we'll get to see them in some CCL action pretty soon. We'll talk about that in a second. I just want to quickly say NYCFC is finding their 2021-2022 form again. No striker. No.
You're going to put that nice thing down there, but you're not going to put on the fire in 8th, 10th. Way ahead of all expectations.
I mean,
we went on a 5-game unbeaten streak. That was huge.
You can edit the notes too, bro. You can put in Chicago Fire. Jason wants to talk Chicago Fire. That's all you got to put. There you go. Chicago Fire aren't looking like a Chicago dumpster fire. That is fair. That
wooden
is fair.
spoon
Contenders.
I spelled many words wrong.
Good there you go. I wanted to check in on our preseason picks tonight, but let's save that for next week. But my one question for you, as we are now officially a quarter of the way through the 2023 season, who is your MVP of the quarter season?
I think
there's only two answers here. Personally.
I think there are only two answers, and like 3 weeks ago, I would have definitely said Almada.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, Jason, we lost you.
Did I just freeze that whole time?
You froze. I got 2-3 weeks ago. It's gonna be Almada, and this. Oh, there's the frozen again. There it is.
I'm thinking it's Blanca now.
There you go. Okay, you literally froze again.
Yeah, I had to get it out.
The suspense twice has been fantastic. So kudos to you and your internet on that one. Thank you. It's Bouanga. If it's not Bouanga, it's Almada. And personally, I'll just give out my homer pick at this point. If it's not either of them, and I had to pick someone else, it's Christian Espinoza from the San Jose Earthquakes. He has been best 11 quality at the wing position. I think he's right now like tied for third in goals scored. He leads all wingers. Yep, sixth. Perfect. He leads all wingers in tackles, and he leads the league in key passes. You just got to give some love to Christian Espinoza in 2023. So that would be. Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
Did I freeze?
No, you're good.
Who wins Golden Boot?
Ooh, we're going quarter picks again.
Pick of that.
It's not going to be Jordan Morris. I'm going to go Bouanga, bro. I think
I honestly think you have to, right?
I
was looking at the list and I was like,
Yeah, like it's either going to be Espinoza. Yeah, Giamakis has been scoring a ton. I will give Christian Espinoza a shout because he takes their PKs. So maybe that racks it up a little bit. Maybe with the rotated roster, Bouanga doesn't get all the goals. I don't know, but I have a feeling it's like one of the Philly strikers, like Giamakis is a good shout, or like
I mean, he's scored in every single start, so that's big.
I mean,
he also has out of all these guys the least starts.
Well, he's coming in, he's out to get adjusted. I think he had some paperwork pending for the first few weeks too. So, that doesn't help. Let's finish things up with some quick, just kind of talking about CCL this week. So today, there's probably a final score at this point. I don't know, but Tigres was hosting Lyon for the first leg of their CCL semifinal matchup tomorrow, or day of drop, April 26th. The Philadelphia Union, they do
38 minutes in.
Any score?
1-0 Lyon.
1-0 Lyon on the road. That's huge. Okay, good for Lyon. But today of drop, Philadelphia Union hosting LAFC for their first leg. All second legs are going to be next week. Jason, Philly or LAFC making it out of this one? I think we've already made these predictions, but we're going to double down.
LAFC.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go LAFC.
I'm pretty sure I picked LAFC to win the whole thing.
Casicia, Jason, you picked LAFC. I picked Philly. You know what? I'm going to stick with my original pick. Let's go.
You have to. Also, Monterey Bay is beating San Jose 1-0.
Let's go. Who scored? Who is it? My guy, Sam Gleadle.
Valesky.
Ah, damn. I hope Gleadle assisted because he's been.
Don't say damn. Valesky's a friend of the pod.
No, Gleadle's the friend of the pod, bro.
Both of them are.
One actually is, one isn't, but it's fine.
We got a little Chicago battle tomorrow.
Well, you are mentioning it. The U.S. Open Cup is currently going on.
I'm getting way ahead.
U.S. Open Cup does begin for MLS teams this week, so we get to see, I think, half the league, roughly, half Major League Soccer get their U.S. Open Cup starts. No shocker, there's issues with streaming because CBS has some streams, Bleacher Report has some streams, and then apparently there's just some games that aren't being streamed at all. So that's fun. So US Open Cup, get your shit together, find a TV network or streaming service that can host all of them.
Honestly, I don't understand why it's not packaged with Apple or like with the league.
It's because it's U.S. soccer compared to just Major League Soccer. You know, that's the.
I mean, one it should just be just one though. Like, why do we need it on multiple networks? One network.
Jason, you're just like, but why can't it be fun? Like, I just want the fun.
Why can't it just be nice? It's a big tournament.
I mean, I just don't understand why, like, ESPN had to, I would have honestly kept, I got rid of ESPN Plus as soon as Apple came out. I would have kept ESPN Plus solely for the US Open Cup. Like, that's how much of a US
don't have ESPN Plus.
I got rid of that real quick. Sorry, ESPN, but the production quality.
Be sorry. No, ESPN has the worst app of all time. Literally, I just cannot stand it. The amount of streaming issues on that app is beyond my comprehension of what's possible.
I don't know how to create apps, but I know that.
What?
I wouldn't do it better, but I mean, I'm just saying it's not great. That's fine. Let's just give a quick update. It isn't on the notes, but Canadian Championship, it does matter. It does impact some MLS teams. It started last week for Canadian clubs in MLS. All 3 won, or all 2 won, because TFC got a bye to the quarterfinals. So Vancouver, starting in 2 weeks, they play York United in their quarterfinal game, and we do get a Canadian Classique in the quarterfinals. We do get CF Montreal versus Toronto FC. So that's a pretty big matchup in a cup there. And I mean, Montreal's kind of sucked this year, so maybe they put all focus on Canadian Championship. I don't know, but we will get a Canadian Classique and Canadian Championship in 2 weeks. Jason, let's look ahead to week 10. Pick one matchup that you're interested in watching for this upcoming weekend.
St. Louis, Portland, probably.
Okay, because it's Timber Jason. We'll bring him back.
I really just want to see how. I mean, it's actually the opposite. I'm just curious. This St. Louis team is crazy, man.
St. Louisian Jason.
No, don't say that.
Okay. Is there like a Midwest rivalry there or something?
Kinda.
Okay. I don't know my Midwest rivalries. I'm sorry.
I guess there's like the big Cubs Cardinals rivalry.
Yeah, true. I mean, as a Mets fan, we don't really like the Cards either. So they
don't have their football team anymore.
Yeah, they're out in LA. Yeah.
Oh, the Blues and the Hawks never really got along.
I don't know hockey. That's my issue. I'm in like Go Rangers.
I don't know if there's any other teams in St. Louis.
No, I think there's only
3 now with MLS.
Sorry, St. Louis. Well, you are killing it in the MLS part, so I'll give St. Louis that. I have to go with the pick of New England hosting FC Cincinnati. I mean, for me personally, this is the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference. To the standings sheet, this is the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference. They both have the same record: 6 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws. They're both sitting obviously on the same amount of points, same points per game. Obviously, that all makes sense because they have the same record. But I mean, at the end of the day, these 2 teams look like the best teams in the Eastern Conference.
Both have conceded more goals than Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, look, that is true, but I do think these are the best 2 teams. I'd probably say Nashville and like New York City's next in the East, but I still think it's New England and Cincy.
Atlanta.
I'm not fully sold. Not fully sold yet.
If Almada isn't always gone on other things.
I mean, that is fair, but I guess Atlanta would be just after. But for me right now, I think these are 2 of the best teams in the league, 2 of the best teams in the East, obviously. So I'm excited to see the outcome of this one if, Cincy can continue to win without Brenner, because it looks like most likely Brenner will be gone and not around much. And if New England can continue to do well with a lot of the youngsters that they got.
I really thought you were going to say you were tuning in exclusively for Kansas City, Montreal.
Bro, how do you get the worst game in MLS? How across conference? It's so bad.
It's unbelievable.
That is a game where it is going to be.
They don't even need to talk about it. If a goal gets scored in the 90th minute, I don't care.
I don't care who wins this game. Yeah, I mean that's probably fair. I don't care who wins that game. Sorry, Montreal and SKC fans, but I just
honestly, actually, I do care because Kansas City hasn't won yet. And Montreal was what, 1 win? So
2 wins. They beat Philly and the Red Bulls, bro.
Actually, pretty good wins.
Yeah, not bad.
But still, if Kansas City loses again,
let's finish things off here, Jason. Anything else you want to say to the fans, the listeners, the watchers, the beautiful people out there who are listening an hour and 10 minutes in?
I would say continue listening. Tune in next week for our predictions.
Yeah, we're gonna. I definitely want to review those preseason predictions and how bad they look. That'll be fun. We got some CCL to talk about next week. We got some great matchups to talk about next week. What I just want to leave this off with is Tati Castellanos might be the greatest striker on the planet. He scored 4 goals against Real Madrid today. He is on loan from this team right here. He is one. He is this guy. He is an MLS Cup champion. Okay, so Tati Castellanos, I love you. Keep scoring against Madrid and rack up that fee for when City Football Group is forced to sell you this summer. So that's how I feel about that. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Like Jason said, keep listening, keep watching, and we'll catch you all next week.